Welcome back to another episode of the Highlight Reel. This is our second episode of the season and our second of the new year. And I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Myah, and I'm so glad that we have you on today. I want you to tell the people a little bit about yourself first, though.
All right. So I am Myah Unique. I am 23 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
I graduated from the University of Cincinnati, and I am now a full-time entrepreneur.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to tell you one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to have you on as a guest today is because I know in your Instagram, you have Purpose Pusher in the description. And I think that is really interesting. I've never heard anybody say anything like that. Like, I'm a purpose pusher. And I think it would be very important for us to start the new year off with purpose so we can actually walk in those steps toward the things that we actually have set for ourselves, the goals that we have set. And it seems like you would be a great person to help do that. And I also see that you say like you're like creative strategist. You do a lot of different things, a multi-disciplinary and like talented kind of person. It's a whole lot going on.
Lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I definitely want to talk about all these different things because I think that speaks to a lot of people where we feel like we have a lot of talents and a lot of different things that we want to do, but we have no idea where to go, or do we have to pick one or the other? And it seems like you've made a living off of the things that you have a passion for. Yeah. So I kind of want to talk about how you got into that because that's hard for people. Yeah. It's like they work at jobs they don't care about and not doing things that they love. When you it seems like you made a living off of the things you love to do. Yeah. So I kind of want you to talk about how you've gotten into that space.
Whew, it's a lot.
Yeah, wherever you want to start.
I'm trying to think. So I feel like for me, it started, I guess we can go back to college.
Okay.
Going from high school into college, I kind of always knew that I was entrepreneurial. Like since I was 10, have always started my own business. So I had candy stores. At 10. The very first business that I had was a candy store in a wagon. Like a physical wagon that me, my mom, my little brother would go up to the pool every single day. And at that time, you know, they didn't really care. We live in the hood at this point. So, like, they don't really care. You know, we sit outside the pool, like, and they weren't selling snacks or anything at this time. Now, the pools are real smart. They like, people are hungry. We're going to make money from y'all. But at that time, they weren't doing all of that.
Okay.
So we had a candy store and we would put it in a wagon and we would go up to the pool every single day.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of that summer, I was pretty black. Like, I was black with blonde hair from swimming every day. But yeah, we would go up to the pool every single day and we had a candy store wagon essentially. And we would make money from everybody that was at the pool. And at that time, I think like GFS was a thing, like Sam. It's kind of like Sam's where you could buy stuff in bulk. So that's how we would make it. It was like basically a candy store. Like, why walk a block to the store when it's store right here?
Okay.
So that was kind of what started my ventures. And then I was also a creative. So I had like duct tape businesses and different things like that. But this wasn't just regular duct tape. Okay?
You had a duct tape? Duct tape. You selling duct tape?
No, I'm not selling duct tape. I'm selling what I was creating from duct tape.
Oh, that's probably kind of cool.
But this wasn't just the regular gray duct tape. This was when duct tape had a thing and they had like zebra print, blue jean print. Like, it was all of this from duct tape. And
you putting me on game right now? I've never heard no blue jean print duct tape.
You're going to have to look it up.
That sounds kind of...
That was the era of like childhood right there. And you would make wallets, purses, like all from duct tape.
People making wallets. I've seen that. That was cool. Yeah. But you were making other stuff.
Yeah. Like wallets, wristlets, like little purses.
So you was making bracelets out of duct tape and they weren't sticking to them. They weren't sticking to people or nothing.
No, because you have to like, I can't explain this.
I'm like, what are you talking about? I would have to have
duct tape right here, but like you would fold it onto the sticky part. So like you got this long sticky part, but then you would fold it on top of each other. So it would like create this like fat. It was a whole thing. I mean, I had the X-Acto knife. I had all the things to...
X-Acto knife?
Yeah, to like cut my pieces.
Where are we talking about?
You asking me about my venture with duct tape, and that's what... Like, I was a whole arts and crafts, and I was selling this stuff.
Okay. So the arts and crafts, I can see how that's, I don't want to say random, but that's maybe something where you had an idea and said, I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But the going out and selling candy, was that an idea you came up with, or someone else was like, oh, this is a good way you can make money, you should go do it?
Nah, that was an idea that I came up with because it started off when I was in elementary school and I was basically selling Twizzlers out of the pack for 25 cents.
Wow.
So it's kind of like I've always, we followed the demand here. So that was a demand, started in school, but then they almost tried to kick me out of school.
For that.
So I was like, I can't sell it at school. So then it became a wagon thing.
Wow.
So it wasn't something that my mom was like, oh, like, we need to make money, so let's do this. It was more so like, I had the idea. I thought it was a smart idea. Let's act on this idea.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. See, I think it's interesting that looking back, you could already tell when you were a creative and you were entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And then it seems like, of course, later down the line, you found a way to bring those two things together.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, at least when they're younger, they probably aren't necessarily thinking entrepreneurial. Yeah. Or maybe they didn't grow up that way.
Well, we don't know that it was the name.
Yeah,
a lot
true.
of the time. Like, a lot of the time, you're kind of, what I've discovered is like, for example, when I was young, I used to play teacher a lot. Now I'm teaching.
Oh.
So, like, there are different things.
What do you think that means? What do you think that means?
What?
Like, you were playing teacher and now you are a teacher. So you're saying you knew you wanted to be that, or you were thinking at the time it was fun and now you're doing this ironic?
Exactly. So I don't want to say at the time I knew I was going to be a teacher, because in that predicament I could have said, oh, I love teaching. I love playing teacher. So that means that I'm going to be teaching kids when I grow up. Mm-hmm. I feel like our gifts begin to manifest, and what we're called to do begin to manifest all throughout our life. Like, I feel like God has been speaking our entire life, but a lot of the time we shut down our childhood and it's like, I don't want to look back at that area or that time of my life, when in our reality it's been puzzle pieces to what you're purposed to do.
Okay, that's a little nugget right there. Okay. Because like I was saying, even where I am in life, I feel like I'm still trying to find out what specifically it is that I'm here to do. And I feel like I've always loved to speak. I've loved, whether that was literally talking to people, rapping, whatever it was, I've loved to speak. And then here I am podcasting, right? Yeah. And I love doing this. And it's not necessarily for profit or anything like that. Right. Not at least yet, but I'm still doing it and I love to do it. So I've been wondering if these are things that have kind of been aligning for my purpose. Because you'll think it's coincidence, but really it
just makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It makes sense for who you are.
Have I been following the steps, and have they been just folding in front of me? So you were a creative and entrepreneurial. So when did you finally start to realize that you wanted to put those two things together?
So that kind of speeds me up. So I took you back a little bit because I had to give the history of all of these things to make it make sense.
Right.
But then moving forward, going from high school into college, again, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know specifically what I was going to build, what that was going to look like. Yeah. And so I ended up I double majored and minored. I was doing a whole lot. But
how'd that go?
It didn't go. Okay. I ended up dropping things off. I'll catch you up. But basically, I double majored in finance and marketing. And minored, it don't make sense, right? Just keep following.
Okay.
But it don't. So finance and marketing, and then I minored in entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So when I think I was a sophomore. This was my sophomore year.
Yeah.
I began to realize, like, I had went on to a trip in New York, and we had went to visit like corporate companies. And at this time, I think I had went to one of them big, I think it's like Chase, or I don't remember.
Like a big bank?
Yeah, it wasn't a bank. It's like more so like financial planning.
Yeah, okay.
And so I really loved just listening to them. I loved being able to dictate your own schedule. Like, you're assisting people. You're kind of coaching people through their finances. You're advising. So I'm like, I'm Black. I'm a woman. I could be a part of somebody's quota.
Yeah.
That's and it's in finance. You rarely see anyone in finance as a Black woman.
Okay.
And I love being able to create my own schedule. It's kind of entrepreneurial, but it's not. So I'm like, that could be my career.
Okay.
That was the finance part.
Right.
And then I later discovered that my motivation for that was not right. And it also didn't align with who I was.
What was your motivation? Just to make money?
Yeah.
Okay.
to basically, I guess, career stability.
That felt wrong?
I didn't want to say it felt wrong, but again, it wasn't my passion.
Okay.
So then we get to where I'm actually taking, because I barely had taken any finance classes. Mm-hmm. This is where it really began to click. So, you know how you were just saying, like, for you always love speaking. So now you're doing podcasts and all of those things. For me, I'm not an analytical person. I'm a dreamer. I'm creative. Okay. I think outside the box. Finance, you're very analytical. It's very mundane. It's very, this is what the numbers say. Mm-hmm. I am not numerical. Okay. I dream big. I don't even know if that's a word, but I dream big and I'd say God got the bill. Okay. That's how I am. Right. Even when it comes to, I'm learning money management now, but even when it comes to spending, you can ask my husband in one of the podcasts you do next if that's what you choose to do. But I swipe the card and think later. That's me. That's me. Whoa. So I'm sitting in my finance classes and they talking and I'm just like, this is all going over my head. And I don't care. I don't care about a mortgage. I don't care about none of this stuff y'all talking about. And I don't want to advise nobody else in their finances. I have to be passionate about what I'm talking about, what I'm teaching about, what I'm coaching someone else about, and I can care less about a finance. The only thing I care about is being financially stable, but I don't care enough to talk about this.
Wow. So okay. Yeah. So, because life has changed for me a little bit. So I can also speak to that. I was working at a bank. I won't say which one here, but I was working at a bank and I wasn't really passionate about that. I was just basically doing what I had to do for my check, which I always thought was kind of probably scary for the people that needed my help because I'm not as invested as I maybe should be, but we all have to make our money somehow, some way. So I do feel like I'm currently in a spot of, I know I'm not passionate about this. I know I'm not passionate about this. I'm passionate about this, right? Right. But the other thing at the moment pays the bills. So I'm going to focus there and do what I need to do there. But this is what brings me fulfillment. Feel like it's helped me with my purpose. Right. And I basically use whatever money I make from there to make this better. Exactly. So that's how I rationalize it. But I also feel that as well, because if you don't care about something, I'm telling you, so this happened in a podcast that I shot last year. One of my friends, he told me, and it's literally stuck to me ever since he said it. He said, if you don't love what you do, you won't last. And I wanted to challenge that because I'm thinking, no, that's wrong. Yeah. But I think in my heart of hearts, I'm pretty sure he's right. Because if you don't love it, no matter what happens to it, you're going to want to do it if you love it. If you don't love it, something, you could just be on a whim, like feel something on a whim and say, yep, I'm good. I'm done. I don't care. So I think that's a scary place to be. So I can relate to you in that way. Yeah. It's because I wanted to find my passion. I think this is the way I found it. So now that you have basically found a way to work your passion into your life, what have you continued to do to maybe help others with that? Like, what are you doing and how are you helping others with it?
Ask that one more time, because while you was talking, I was thinking about...
you thinking about a lot?
I was thinking about what you were just saying and wanting to add on top of that.
Go ahead.
But what I was thinking was, like, you were talking about how, like, you work at a bank to basically feed your passion. Right. And what I feel like was the difference between what I was doing and what you're currently doing is that what you're doing is a stepping stone thing. For me, that wasn't a stepping stone. I would have been preoccupied with something that does not funnel into my passion, that does not feed what I'm called to do. Like with you, it's like you're funneling the passion. You're trying to get to the place of where you can do what you love to do. Whereas for me, I was kind of going down a whole separate path that was going to literally fill my time.
All of your time.
Yeah, because that would have been like, because I wasn't even going to be using my marketing degree. I wasn't going to be using my entrepreneurship degree. I was going to be fully in and submerged into the finance world. Like, because I didn't tell this part, but like 2020, we know that was a whole world shaker for us all.
Oh, Lord. That's not.
But 2020... I was like applying to internships, different things like that. And I had landed this really big internship. But again, had nothing to do with marketing, had nothing to do with anything creative, nothing to do with entrepreneurship. It was literally analytical. Like I was going to be in an analytical role and it was paying real good for analytical.
Okay.
But then, of course, 2020 happened. A lot of unforeseen things happened, and they closed the door. Like, internship gone.
Oh.
Internship was there. Now internship is gone.
Okay.
So then after that, I started a bakery. I'm telling you, I just been everywhere all at the same time, okay? So, keep following me. I started this bakery. It was an on-the-go bakery.
On the go. Okay, that's a consistent theme.
Dessert,
okay.
Right. I'm always on the go, okay?
Okay.
Always on the go. So, it was a dessert in a jar, like a mason jar. So, we talking cheesecakes, cakes, all the things in a mason jar. So, it was literally like, get your cake on the go.
Okay.
It was doing good. Like, this was a booming business. Booming business.
Mm-hmm.
And I started this after the internship fell through. Like, I'm like, okay, because at this same time, I was in the process of getting married. So I had just got engaged. So it's a lot weighing on me right now.
We're going to talk about that too.
And I'm also in college. Let's mention that.
That is a lot at once.
So we lose the internship. Mind you, the internship was about to, help set us up for the wedding, all the things. So internship falls through. I start the bakery because I'm like, I need another stream of income. Like, this is not, and I think at that time I was also working at a retirement home. So I've always been doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I was working at a retirement home.
Picking up on that.
I was working at a retirement home, and I was also running this bakery.
Mm-hmm.
Bakery was doing real good. Like, orders, we selling out. I'm cooking to like baking to like 3-4 in the morning, trying to like get these orders together. Mm-hmm. But then I reached a point where I was like, this is not what I'm passionate about. So it's really just distracting me because, again, at this time, I had all of these thoughts in my mind because I knew what I was supposed to be doing. But I'm like, that...
You knew what you were supposed to be doing.
I knew what I was supposed to be doing because I had all of these ideas already.
So you had ideas. So how did you know?
But I didn't act on them. What do you mean, how do I know?
You said that you knew what you were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And you had ideas of it, but like... When did you know that you were sure that that was what you were supposed to be doing?
And I don't know if this comes from walking with God. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's because he was giving me the ideas. Okay. Like, so he was kind of telling me like, this what I'm calling you to do. Like, and that's because I think, okay, I was supposed to start a YouTube channel at 18. So it goes...
Yo.
There were things that I was sitting on, and I feel like a lot of people can get me. Now I'm gonna look at the camera because I feel like a lot of people can understand, like, when God is pressing upon your heart to do something, but you kind of like,
hesitant.
I ain't ready for that yet. Like, I'm not, at that time I was struggling with like confidence and esteem and who I was and all of those things. So like there was an internal wrestle. So that's where the podcast came in. Because instead of me going on YouTube, I'm like, I don't want to see how I look. I couldn't sit down and record myself and edit and be like, I'm going to post this. So then I said, no on the YouTube, but I'll do a podcast instead.
And then what happened with that?
That wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. So I had to close it because I was just, again, preoccupied with... Like, it was kind of like my way out, I want to say. Like, it's a way out instead of...
Oh, like your easy way out. Like, you were kind of chickening out of what you should actually be doing.
Exactly.
Okay. So then you found your way to start a YouTube channel, right? And you're saying that this is when you started to really find that was your purpose. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Go ahead.
The YouTube channel was when I was 18.
Right.
There's always so many backstories to get you to where you are.
Yeah.
But the YouTube channel was what I was supposed to start when I was 18. This was when I was in high school. I had got all of the equipment, all the things. But I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. I literally bought all the equipment, sat down to film. And then I was like, when I was editing, I said, I can't do this. So then instead of me doing the YouTube channel, I went to the podcast.
And then that didn't work out.
No, I was consistent for a little bit. And
Are you still doing it?
No.
Why?
Because it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing.
Okay, so...
I need you to follow our conversation.
No, because I'm trying to... Basically, it's like... So when did you get to what you were supposed to be doing? And what was that?
My business that I'm running now, my brand.
Which is?
The Myah Unique brand.
Okay.
So in that, I do content creation. I'm a coach. I'm a strategist. And yeah. So it's like all of the things that I was doing...
Before...
Was like...
Preparation.
for where I am
That's
now.
what I'm. Yeah.
Like it was like, but it was still me trying to like take the easy way out and not really fulfill or like chase after my true passions, my true like purpose, what my gifts and callings are. Like I wasn't trying to leverage that. I was kind of trying to like take the easy way out, if that makes sense, with different things.
In hearing your story, it sounds like, and each of those times and each of those spots, it's like you were supposed to do one thing and then you ended up doing a thing that is yours where you do all of those things. Yeah. Am I summing that up right?
Say it one more time.
So basically, all the experience that you had, you were doing different things and you kept feeling like those aren't the things that you were supposed to be doing. But then you started your business and it seems like now you're doing aspects of all of those things that you had already done before.
In a way.
Okay.
But it's still slightly different. So like when I talk about the bakery situation and I talk about like the financial and finance degree situation, those things I was pursuing, but out of like, yes, I was still entrepreneurial, right? For the bakery situation.
Okay.
I was still entrepreneurial, but that wasn't a passion.
Okay.
So like what I'm like in all of these stories, I'm saying that I pursued these things, but they were one, out of the wrong motivation. And then two, they weren't my passion. So then because they weren't my passion and I was pursuing them out of the wrong motivation, then what happened was I was preoccupied and distracted and not occupied with my purpose.
Okay. So now do you feel like you're more focused?
Yes.
Okay. So you're focused and you're helping others, right?
Right.
How does that help you?
How does helping others help me?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So, because I mean, it seems like, you know, you help so many other people. So I'm wondering, how does that basically fulfill you, or how does that help you feel like you are doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Because, you know, some things where some people's purpose might be a little more selfish. I don't really believe that.
Yeah.
But you might have to be a little selfish with what you need to be doing to actually help the people the way that you need to. So how has that helped you? Because sometimes when I look at your products, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, I know that you sell some like different products and different things. So I'm wondering if you're actually making money from it, and then like how, because this is helping other. So I feel like I'm answering my own question slightly, but I'm just wondering, how has that, you know, led you on the path toward feeling like you were doing what you need to be doing?
I see what you're saying. So when I think about my brand and just the story of my brand, so because I kind of didn't tell like my story, even how I got here. Like, I feel like you are helped from helping others when you're doing something that aligns with who you are as an individual and you're leveraging the gifts that God has given to you. So for me, what I do for my business is, first and foremost, I have to embrace who I am. I have to embrace what my gifts are. And all that I do in my business is teach. That's a gift, which we talked about when I was, you know, playing teacher. I'm a teacher. I'm a coach. And then that goes into purpose pushing. So in order to push somebody else to their purpose, I had to first find my purpose. And that plays off the story of me. And when I was a little girl, that was my struggle. That's why my story is the way that it's been, and how it just feels like, girl, you was all over the place. You was doing this, you was doing that. And it's because for me, my biggest struggle was not knowing who I was. My biggest struggle was not knowing what my purpose was. My biggest struggle was not knowing what my passions were, not really having a vision for my life, right? Not having direction for my life. And so that's what my brand plays off of. I was the little girl who didn't know none of these questions. And why was I concerned about all of these things at the age of 10? I have no idea. I don't know why I was. And I feel like, again, that's something, and not something I've noticed just within young adults, that is our questions. Like, what am I here for? Who am I? You know what I mean? What are my passions? And, you know, can I make money off of my passions and different things like that? But again, the reason I created my brand was to show other women, other young men, that if I can do it, then you can do it too. And so
I like that.
That's kind of like what originated my brand. And so the purpose of the brand is to teach my audience, my community, that again, like it starts with knowing who you are, knowing what your purpose is, knowing what your passions are, and using or leveraging your gifts in different, because it doesn't mean that you have to be an entrepreneur. It doesn't mean that you have to be a content creator. You could work in a 9-to-5. Like, just for example, like if I decided to go get a 9-to-5 job, I know what my passions are. So I'm going to look for a 9-to-5 job that fits and aligns with my passion. And it may just be a stepping stone to what I really want to go after, you know? But I feel like we should never do something or create something or be a part of something that does not align with who we are.
You said plenty right there. I just wanted to elaborate on some things that I was thinking about, because as a young person, when you're dealing with different things and you have different experiences, right? You feel like they're not adding up at all. I think a lot of us feel that way. And that's not the best. It's not a good feeling. You're thinking, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm wasting all this time. It's not taking me anywhere. Yeah. And for me, I felt that same thing. Like this job I was talking about, right? Yeah. I was not passionate about it. I knew I was not passionate about it. And I have a feeling that the people I worked with could pick up on that, right? Yeah. But I did get to help people. And there were times where I really felt good about that, even though I knew that this was not something I was passionate about. But seeing how, even though I didn't love that, some of the experience that I got from that has aided me in my development as a man, as a human being, because now I know certain things about finances and certain things about credit. Yeah. I didn't know anything about these things until I started working at a bank. So it's so interesting to see how all of our experiences actually kind of lead us toward who we need to be when we really don't feel like it, because a lot of times it really don't feel like it. It's like, bro, this means nothing. This has no purpose. Exactly. Why am I doing this? Yeah. I think even in those feelings, you'll at least still learn something as far as, well, I know this is what I'm not going to do. Yeah. Or this is what I don't want to do. Yeah. And hopefully this leads me toward what I want to do. Or I know I don't want to do this, but here's some things I learned while I was here. Right. So then when I get to this spot and I'm doing these things like clockwork, I can say, I learned that there. Exactly. I didn't think that was going to help me at all. So I just think it's always interesting because being a young adult, coming around in your life, you're trying to figure these different things out.
It's a lot to figure out.
Yeah, it's like, bro, nothing's working out. Yeah. But things are actually working out for you. So, and then also with the whole purpose pushing. So I'm pretty sure helping others fulfills you as well. And I've also literally just saw something last night that said, as you do unto others, you do unto yourself. And I know that's in the Bible. I don't know the verse off the top of my head. But when I thought about that, I think that's hard for a lot of people to conceptualize in their brain. As I help you, I help myself. But the way I think about it is, as you help others, you help the world in which you live. So therefore, you are also helping yourself. It just takes a certain level of humbling yourself and taking away your ego, which is hard. I know for me, I struggle with that. I think as a man, I might have a bigger ego because I feel like there's a lot on my shoulders. Yeah. And that makes it harder for me. So let me bring it back around. So because I was wondering, do you ever deal with ego issues or, so explain that. Explain what that experience is like.
I feel like humanity deals with ego, pride, just what you want, like your desires. And it's kind of crazy that you asked me this question because I have been in this place of like, even though, yes, my entire brand is built to basically be a bridge. It's named after me, but I always say it's not about me. Because I'm here to bridge a gap, I'm here to be a bridge because I didn't have, I'm here to be what I didn't have, right? I'm here bringing, the people where I used to be at point A to point B. You know what I mean? That's what I believe I'm here for. But I do feel like it is easy to slip into a prideful state of just focusing on what you want instead of being a contribution or just being a vessel or a servant to be used. And for me, I think my relationship with God, I feel like has been a huge impact on my life and the reason that I do certain things in my life. Because just even thinking about like what you said, sometimes it can be a lot for adults to think about all of the things that they want to do, or just even being in experiences that they may not want to, or they don't feel like is working towards an overall goal. And I feel like for me and in my life, God has been, even because I haven't always been working in my passion, but at every pivotal moment, like for the bakery situation, for when I was majoring in finance, all of those things, like it was because of my relationship with God that I heard his voice say, close it down. And at that point, I had to obey and shut the bakery down.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if it's up to my own finite mind and strength, I would think, you know, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like I have the business plan, like for the bakery, I had the business plan. I had the marketing plan. Like I was working on those things in school. So it was a good idea, but it wasn't a God idea. And so,
okay.
And so
Okay.
I just got to be real. Like, I'm not able to sit before you and say, oh, this whole time, like, I knew the bakery wasn't for me, so I shut it down. And I did, like, no, it's because God, I'm walking with God. And he literally, this ain't it. Like, and that, again, I feel like also shows moments of pride, because I'm in those moments when I lost the internship, I'm like, I got to get this money by tomorrow. Like, I got to figure out, And I feel like at any point that you feel like I gotta pay the bills and I gotta make a way, when did we become the way maker? If we being real. So like those moments have always been like, I'm like, that's moments of pride for me, where I wanted to major in finance. Why? Because I want to be the only Black woman in a finance, like that is just, that's pride, because I think I know what I want. In our reality, I don't, because this is my first time living and God's the writer of my story. So, you know, so like that's like, I'm like, my whole life I've had moments of pride in thinking that I know what I want. I know what I'm doing. If a job fall through, I'm gonna go out here. Like, I've been a hustler since I was 14. Like, I know what it means to go get it. Like, I've bought my first car. I've bought, you know, all the things. Like, so it's like, I know, and it's probably from growing up with single parent moms and, you know, watching her, anything we needed, she made it happen. And so growing up like that, I've always knew how to hustle, grind, like literally first job at 14. So it's like, I know how to do those things. So pride is a struggle for me, because I'm like, I got to do it. Like, people think pride is just, I feel like sometimes pride is just being arrogant, but I've had to learn like arrogance and pride is two different things.
Right. And I think that's why it's hard for me, because yes, I believe we have a creator the same, right? But it feels like, well, I'm the one that's down here and I have to go do all these things.
Yeah.
So again, when you're working things that you don't necessarily care about, you feel like that you're taking a hit to your pride or taking a hit to your ego, because you might feel like you're actually not doing what you need to be doing. That's something that I was struggling with all the time. I would feel like there were times I feel like this job is beneath me, right? I honestly,
absolutely.
I honestly was like, well, I'm better than this job. I know that there's better for me. I don't think there's anything wrong with that perspective.
Yeah, no.
To try to get better, but I was consistently thinking about, is my ego like yelling out right now?
Yeah.
And that's something I try to bring down, because when you come from a place of ego, you kind of scare people away.
Yeah.
Whereas when you move with more humility in your life, you're more welcoming.
Yeah.
And I think that would lead people to maybe feel maybe not as comfortable around me, or like also led me to be let go of from that job, right?
Yeah.
On one hand, I was happy about it. On one hand, I was happy about that.
Yeah.
But I also wish that maybe I could have done some things better to improve how that situation ended. But I think it's just hard to deal with the ego. Yeah. Because like I said, we're here. Yeah. To walk by faith and not by sight is extremely hard.
It is.
Especially when your eyes work. Of course. I'm just saying. I mean, you wake up.
Let's be for real.
And there are so many things that you actually have to deal with.
Yep.
So I wanted to at least get some of your perspective on that.
No, yeah. I think it depends. I think it depends because, like, for example, with your situation and your job and different things like that, I think, because one thing about it, I teach people don't settle. Like, if you are in a place and you I know, like, there's a deeper longing for greater, Like, I'm here. I'm not just here to go to a 9-to-5 that I don't care about. I was not born to go to school, go get a degree, go to a job I don't care about, make 6 figures, have a husband or a wife, and have kids and die. That's not what I was just here on this earth for.
But then, like, that's somebody's purpose, though. And I think that's what scares me. I think that's what scares me. It's like, if that is my purpose, am I okay with that? And if I'm not, I'm wrong for that?
But I don't think that's your purpose.
I don't either. But I know for somebody that is, and that scares me.
To work a job they don't care about?
Yeah, that scares for anybody that is, like, let's say in their 40s and older, right? And they're working somewhere, they've been working there forever. And they feel like, well, I'm going to be working here forever.
Is it because they love their job?
No. Like, they don't.
Then that's not their purpose. They walk. I would say, according to what I've learned and how God works.
Okay.
I would say they're not living life to their fullest potential. And what I've learned, and I gotta quote him because he is a powerful man. His name was Dr. Miles Monroe. And he said, do you want to know the wealthiest place in the world? And he said the graveyard. Because a lot of people take their untapped potential to the grave.
Okay.
Like, when you think about it, like Thomas Edison and the light bulb, what if he never acted on that? We wouldn't have light. I feel like everybody that's here is here to solve a problem in this world. We're not just here for no reason. We're not just here to work. We're not just here to reproduce and die. Like, that's not what we're here for. Like, we're here to solve a problem. We're here to bridge a gap. And I feel like a lot of the times people sleep on their potential. They think they know what they supposed to do. Oh, I just go work at this company. I'm making my 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 figures. And that's good enough. And it's like, I feel like they haven't tapped into their fullness or their full potential.
Do you feel like for you to do that, you have to take risk? You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm thinking that's, a lot of the times I think that's what the difference is. It's like people that got stuck in these things they didn't want to do, didn't take a risk. But taking risk is not always fun.
It's like being walk by faith and not by sight.
Oh, Lord. Like, it's not fun, but it's ironically like more rewarding.
Yeah.
Because you're trying.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's how I see it. You're trying, it doesn't work out. And as we spoke earlier, you're going to learn something from that experience that might help you along the path. Yeah. But at least you're taking a chance. Because that's how I've always felt. If I'm not taking a chance, I have no chance. Yeah. Like, if I stopped, like, I've seen different people talk about, podcasting. You could have a video blow up, right? Yeah. But if I stop podcasting, then that's it. There's no chance.
Gonna blow up?
Like, I have no chance of something happening if I'm actually not trying. When you're not trying, you have no chance. If you're trying, you have a chance. Yeah. So you might as well just keep trying. It's just a scary place to be in.
But here's the thing. Because walking by faith and not by sight can be very risky. But I will say, like, there's a difference with taking a risk without God and taking a risk with God.
Facts. Okay.
Because when I stepped out on this business venture, and God gave me this idea when I stopped the bakery, because I'm telling you, when I stopped the bakery, I mean, all heaven opened. And I was like, the business came to fruition. It didn't even make sense to me. Like, he gave me this idea. It seemed like two things on two opposite ends of the spectrum, but I went with it. Right? And I've had a profitable business. But I will say, when he gave the idea and he told me to step out on the water, there was a what is it called? Like an insurance with it. So that's going back to my point of there's a difference between taking a risk with God and a risk without God. Because if you're taking a risk without God, you're stepping out onto something he never called you to. When God speak a word and he give his stamp of approval on something, that's different. Yeah. Like, because for me, I stepped out, but I know he's made tons of promises for this business. So I know it got to stand. I may hit my knee along the way. Things may fall through because every product that I've dropped ain't been like, oh, it's a success. Or every piece of content I've dropped have not went viral. Yeah. However, I do know that this plan he gave me, it gotta work. There is no plan B. Okay. Because he made tons of promises on it. Like, this is an idea he spoke. This wasn't just me and my good idea. Like, he affirmed this idea. So I'm like, if it take 5-10 years, I know it's got to work. Like, just like with Abraham, like he promised him a son. This one, Abraham just desiring a kid. Yeah, he had that desire. But then here came God to say, this idea that you got, it shall be. So even if you try 100 years, it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm out here taking risks, but my risk it's backed up in heaven. So
depth. Woo. Okay. Let's like, okay.
It's giving part 2.
You coming with it, right? You coming with it today. This is why I want to talk to you, because I feel like this is a good way to start the year off, because I think plenty of us have already lived enough to know that we could have done better. We could have been in these different areas in our lives. And now that you know that, you should try to do better, because before you know it, you'll keep saying, all right, I got tomorrow. Yeah. And then 10 years passes and you're like, dang, I had all that time I didn't do anything. Yeah. And then when you see other people that are where you could have been, it makes you feel some regret. And I don't want to live with a casket full of regret. Right. But I do want to pivot really quick. So with you being an entrepreneur and you basically working, I'm guessing whenever you want, right? Are you disciplined?
Yeah. You gotta be.
Okay. When did you get to this point?
Oh, God had to get me that. He had to get me together way earlier than this. Okay. So we went to Walnut.
Yep. Go ahead.
We went to Walnut. I sucked at discipline. I was procrastinator. I was so bad. I was doing homework that was due that day in class while the teacher's coming around collecting or on the bus. You know what I'm saying? So going into college, like, I'm like, high school, that was a bad era of my life. But going into college, I'm like, it's 4.0 season. I know that I'm capable of it if I apply myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that I'm smart. I know that if I really try, I can do it. Yeah. And so I went into college and I'm like, it's 4.0 season. So again, it wasn't just of my own doing. God was really dealing with me. Like, we're going to have to nip this procrastination stuff in the bud. Like, it's not going to get you far in life. Yeah. You need systems to be effective. And so going into college, that's really where that became a thing. So just like you talked about experiences, I do believe experiences help build you. You know what I mean? So, because even with being an entrepreneur, it's not that you have to go to college, you know, but I feel like that season of my life taught me systems, taught me discipline, because I had a 4.0. Right. But it took putting myself in places like working, doing homework on campus instead of going home to do homework. It looked like working on assignments before the due date. So when Friday come, I'm chilling. Exactly. And I start learning, like, the reason I was anxious and like feeling all of these pressures was because I was waiting to the last minute. So then I'm like, I don't want to be a procrastinator anymore. Like, I want to be proactive, because you start feeling the weight of your bad habits. You know what I'm saying? Like, it start building up. You thinking, oh, you know, I'm a procrastinator. I'll wait to the last minute, and it be something you boast in until you realize, like, the moment you start being proactive, you like, oh, this is what this feel like. So I started applying a lot of systems and stuff like that, like with planning. And that's where I got into like intentional living and like planning. That's kind of a part of my brand too, where, you know, I'm big on planning, like plan out your life, like understand what's going on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, so that you can reach your goals. And so I forgot the question. No, so it was basically like, how did you get here? And I was asking because I honestly feel like the lives that we want are on the other side of that. Yeah. And that's a really hard thing to have to even try to deal with, because basically you're gonna create friction. I remember I asked one of my guests before, like, doesn't discipline create friction? And she said, like, it kind of creates freedom. And I was like, that's a bar. But initially, I think you're going to have the friction. What do you mean by friction?
So, all right, discipline is basically like you setting boundaries. It's like setting boundaries and expectations for yourself, right? These are things that are going to make you uncomfortable. How often do you want to make yourself uncomfortable? Not often, but that's what's necessary for you to get this result that you want. The biggest example that I know of is the gym. Yeah. People, you're not necessarily going to the gym to hurt yourself, but when you find out you're weak, you're gonna have to strengthen something. So you're gonna go through a little bit of burning at least, right? and you don't see immediate results. But when you stick with it,
Yeah.
and you start to see results, you'll say, I'm glad I've been doing this thing over and over and over
Right.
to get to this point.
Yeah.
But you have to go through the friction
Yeah.
continuously as well.
Right.
Like you have to initially realize, okay, this is about to not be so fun. Not all the time. And then you're in the routine of it. But even still, you're like, I still have to go. I don't want to go. I'm not feeling like it. But I went, or I'm already on the way.
Yeah.
That's a hard place to be in. But I think that's the necessary place you have to be in for where you want to go. Because I think the people that haven't necessarily got to live the lives that they want, there are times where I think you probably, if you had maybe set more discipline for yourself, you could have set yourself up better to get to that point.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, all right, I got to do this part. That's not going to be so fun.
Yeah.
But when you set those boundaries in place and those expectations for yourself, you then have like a standard that you set for yourself and you kind of have to stick to that.
No, yeah, that's good.
So asking people about that is always interesting because I've even talked to another friend that said she was not disciplined. She didn't want to do certain things, and she's a content creator, and I would say she's a pretty big one, right?
Yeah.
She didn't have that stuff ingrained in her. None of us do.
No.
Even when you grow up with a parent that's gonna have you, like my dad always wanted me to wake up, make my bed, right? I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I see why. I see why he did it. So now, even though it's not ingrained in us, and if you grow up with it, you're still gonna want to go against that, like slightly at least. So I always like to explore that with my guests because I always like to see how is your life going? Are you disciplined? Is that working out for you? If you're not disciplined and it's working out for you, how?
Yeah.
Like what's going on with that? Because I know as an entrepreneur, I'm learning that you set your own schedule or whatever, but you have to do things. You have to do them. Yeah. No one's gonna do it.
Nobody's gonna
you
do it.
have to do it. So
Nobody's
especially
gonna
for
do
you, because I see when I see your content, I'm thinking, okay, I'm sure she's working.
Yeah.
But she's not in no office. Like she's in different places. Yeah. And then I know that you're making money from these different things. So I'm thinking you kind of have to bring a different version out of yourself to get to the point that you want to go to. Yeah. Which is also uncomfortable because, you got a caterpillar and a butterfly. Yeah. So it's like, you in the cocoon and then you got to go through that little. Yeah. Bro, it's just that metamorphosis phase and it's just crazy.
It's like you're growing along the journey. I will say too, like, I feel like when it comes to discipline, my thing is you got to make it fun. And hear me out. I feel like when it comes to discipline, like, you have to make it enjoyable, but I guess in order to get to that part, you have to think about, like, because I've been learning and reading this book on habits, and they talk about, and something that's really related to me and like really in alignment with like what I teach and what I think around habit forming is it has to be a habit that's based upon your identity. And I'm gonna give you this example that the book gave because it was really good. And he basically was saying, like, a lot of people, for example, if they're smoking or they're smokers, they say, oh, I want to quit smoking. So then they try to build this discipline or this habit of, I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop smoking. Or we can use the gym, for example, like since you use that example. They say, oh, I want to go to the gym. Like that's their goal. I want to go to the gym or I want to lose a certain amount of weight. And they set this habit, oh, I'm going to go to the gym X amount of days. But then what happens is they end up falling off of that because they're still identifying as someone who is not a gym goer or who is not healthy and fit. But when you make that identity change, and so again, it's kind of going to like not just modifying your behavior, but changing who you are, like starting there first. Because if I identify as I am a physically healthy person, then when it comes to going to the gym or eating healthy or whatever the case may be, that's what I do because that's who I am. So it's the same thing. Like if I want to be a successful entrepreneur, I know that's what God has promised me. Then why am I not acting like that now? Why am I not thinking like that now? So if a full-time entrepreneur, because before I was full-time, I worked for, and this speeds up my story. Before I was full-time entrepreneur, I worked as a creative assistant for this girl who runs a branding agency. So that kind of was my stepping stone to where I'm at now. And while I was working under her, I was putting in systems because I'm learning right under an entrepreneur. If this is where I want to be like her. She's a full-time entrepreneur. She has systems in place. She has a content schedule. She has a content calendar. She has the way that she developed products. So if I want to be that, then I have to get things in order. Like things have to be organized on my back end. Like just like I would go clock in at a 9-to-5 job and make money, I need a 9-to-5 schedule. Even though it's not always 9-to-5, but I need a schedule.
Yeah.
And so I began to do that because that's who I wanted to become. So I feel like when it comes to any habit that you're trying to form before, because we're living in the days of influencers. So sometimes we like, oh, I want to do that because I've seen them doing it. Mm-hmm. But it's more so when you're thinking about a habit you want to create or a goal you want to set, you have to think about who you want to become and then set that goal and then build that habit. So then it's fun.
Okay. So,
I mean, it's not going to say it's not going to be hard or difficult or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
I think that resonates with me because for a while I was thinking, I want to be a podcaster. I want to be a podcaster. I want to be a podcaster. And then I started saying, you know what? I podcast. I do this. So now when you think of me, I say I'm a podcaster, content creator, different things like that. And I just started to just walk in that. Yeah. Because now when I have all this equipment,
I'm like, look like a podcast.
When I pull up with all this stuff, shoot, y'all believe it. Yeah. And then because I keep doing it continuously, and then I'm also seeing other people believe it as well.
You got systems.
It helps.
You got editors.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
it helps
like,
me to believe it. Yeah. Right. Wow. The Myah, this is what I expected. I expected for you to drop plenty of bars. Plenty of bars. I knew it was going to be a lot of depth to this conversation. I do want to talk a little bit about briefly, how has being married young helped you in the development of who you are?
That's good. That's a good question. I feel like it was very intentional of God to have me get married young because kind of like what we've been saying, like our experiences and the things that we go through help shape us into who we are. Like, because I feel like when it comes to your identity, it's not just getting to know who you are, it's unlearning who you're not.
Okay, continue.
I mean, it's been a journey. So it's like, I don't know, like, it's like learning. When I talk about identity, I'm talking about who God made you to be. Not the sum of your trauma, not the sum of your childhood pain. Like, because a lot of the times, like, even for me, just talking about my own experience, I thought that I was this way and I was this person, but in all reality, all of that stuff and that behavior was stemming from something I hadn't healed from. So, like, going through... I'm telling you, we'll be here talking for 3 hours. So like getting married, God used that. Like, yes, we have a purpose together. And yes, like we love each other and we're soulmates and all the things. But getting married helped us both become who God had designed us to be and heal a part that we didn't even know needed healing. So when I was getting married, I had to unlearn independency. Because I thought, I'm this woman, I'm strong, I can. And if you ask him, he'll tell you, like, when he first met me, I'm like, I could do bad all by myself. Okay? Like that, I couldn't help it. It was like ingrained in me. Yeah. And so, but then like God used this to teach me, like, it's okay to depend. It's okay to like, it was just a lot. I'm telling you, it was literally a lot that I had to like, again, unpack. Unlearn and relearn of what it's really supposed to look like. And even it's so crazy because like we're now 3 years in and it's like I'm still I know, I'm kind of shook. I'm like, wait, whoa. But it's so crazy because now we're 3 years in and I'm like, I'm still learning because even now with my career, like I am a full-time entrepreneur and he is a full-time firefighter. But I still struggled with thinking on a dual page. Like I was more so still like, And I think that's why I was going so fast within my business, because I don't know if you've seen like where my content lately, but like I'm basically slowing down a lot.
Yep.
Because I kind of been like produce, like, and that's kind of like where I've been trying to scale my business, because I know how to work hard, but I don't know how to rest. I know how to work hard, but I don't know how to slow down.
Oh, I feel you there. Unfortunately and fortunately sometimes. Yeah.
And it's like, and something I do want to leave with you is that like God had to remind me, like, the reason that elevation is going to come and the business is going to scale is going to be by my hand and not by your hard work. Because the Bible talks about faith plus works, and without, faith and works together.
Yeah.
But I know how to work hard, but I don't know how to have faith.
To Myah, man.
So it's like God really be dealing with you with all of these things. It's like he really be ministering to you. That's why I really heavily say do all of life with God. Because I'm telling you, he will make the things that you don't even think make sense. Because I'm like...
Okay, I was expecting you to do your thing, but I feel like you're trying to read me now.
You asked me to have a conversation, and I can't help but God speak right to your point, okay? Because listen, that's where I've been for a little minute now. So
that's where I've been for a long time, if not the longest time.
Yeah.
And wow, me asking you about your marriage, I didn't expect you to take it there. It's fine.
Look, sharp left.
Yeah. But okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. I do want to ask you one last question. So what is something that you want to leave the guests, like not the guests, the listeners and the watchers of this episode of The Highlight Reel with? Because you've dropped plenty. You dropped plenty today.
Yeah.
But what is one last thing that you would like to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
That's a good question.
You can look at the camera for this. You can do whatever you want. You let me know.
Go so many directions, but we're at the new year. It's 2024. And honestly, what I would say is accept your design blueprint.
Okay.
Accept your design blueprint. And what I mean by that is we're living in a generation in time where there are several influencers and content creators, and every time you turn around, like, you see someone living in their dream life and maybe a life that you aspire or that you want. But what I've learned is that all of those things can put this external pressure on you to be something or to have something or to have it all together, to have the husband, to have the full-time 6-figure podcast, 6-figure business, like, and you see all of these things and you're hearing all of these people trying to tell you and coach you and all of these different things. But what I have learned is, like, scratch all voices, untap from all of the noise, and really get back to the basics and the foundation of what has God designed for your life. Because I'm telling you, like, and I don't know, it's crazy because I'm doing this like series right now. It's a Leaders Arise and Pray series where we just escape from like all of life's responsibilities. Mm-hmm. From being the entrepreneur, from being the wife, from being the mom, from being this, from being that. And we just take time to be still. Because I don't think adults and young Gen Z, millennials, I don't think we do that enough. We're so go. And we don't know, like, what God is saying and what God wants for our life. Because even for me, like, I know, and maybe you who are listening, God has made promises to you about your life, or he said he's going to take you in this direction, And for me, I'm like, it's time. Where's it at? Why is it not happening right now? Like, I don't understand. And God had to remind me, and he told me, I'm not in a rush, so why are you? Like, when you really sit back and think about it, those who are listening, you're 23, 24, 20, 19, 18. We have our entire lives. So why are we in this rush? So then you have to sit back and really start accepting, like, your life for where it is right now. Stop trying to speed up to 5 years from now or 10 years from now. Like, Be where you are right now and understand, what is God trying to do in my life right now? What is he saying for the right now, for this moment? The future is going to come. The set job, the stability, all the things is going to come. But there are so many things that God is doing and God is teaching all of us in our lives right now, and we're missing it. There's a reason those circumstances and those situations keep happening to you. And you're like, bro, why does this keep happening to me? And he's like, I'm trying to show you why. I'm trying to break it down. I'm trying to show you that I'm trying to heal certain things. I'm trying to set you free from certain things. I'm trying to teach you certain things. You're not going to get to the 6 figures if you don't learn discipline in this season. So it's just like, accept your blueprint. Their life is not your life, and that's okay. You don't have to do what's trending. You don't have to do what's popular. Do what God is calling you to do. I'm telling you, it make life that much more simpler.
Okay. The Myah, man. Thank you for that. That was plenty, and that was meat right there. You know what I mean? Like I'm
eating off the same word. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for being a guest on the highlight reel. I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah.
There were certain things I was expecting and where I was expecting this to go. And then it started to feel really personal for me at the end. It did. For me personally. And I think that that's good. I'm hoping that the audience also felt some of that as well.
Yeah.
And I want to say as well, thank you to the audience, watchers, listeners of this episode of the Highlight Reel. I hope that you were able to take something away from this. The Myah dropped plenty of wisdom today. And I just hope that you are able to use something that you heard in this episode and take it to improve and to better your life. But again, I want to say one more time, thank you so much to Myah for being a guest. And thank you to the audience for listening and watching this episode of the Highlight Reel. That's been your episode. Peace out.